only so much that you can do before you realize, like, okay, I need to step away and put myself first. So that's what I did.
That's a good thing to value in yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you should put yourself first. So, I mean, when did you first in the relationship become aware of like the Kyle Richards of it all? Like, when did you first hear of that? Like, when you guys were together, like the name Kyle.
Yeah, I honestly don't know the exact time frame. I would have to go back and look through text messages, which I don't want to do. I would say, I'm gonna say early spring. I'm throwing that out there. I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess early spring. Like, I'm gonna say around March-ish.
So, like, a few months into it.
Yeah.
And then what? Like, when did you? What? It just was like, oh, I have a new friend. Like, you're having dinner one night. Oh, I met a new friend today.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, she told me. She asked if I knew who she was, and I told her, yeah, I did, and. It was kind of tied. She was kind of tied in with like a little friend group that they had with Teddi and another lady. I don't remember her name, and Kyle, and they had like a group chat with Wordle. Like, that's back when Wordle was all the rage. You remember that?
Yeah.
And that is kind of like how that friendship started. Based on what I know, based on the information that I was told.
So was it through Teddi Mellencamp that they met?
It was through their other friend. I don't remember her name.
Was she a housewife too?
No, she's a friend of theirs though.
Like a Faye Resnick, someone like that?
It wasn't Faye. It wasn't anybody that I would recognize. Like, it wasn't a name that I would have recognized from the show or anything like that.
But Teddi was in the friend group.
Teddi was in the friend group, yeah.
So she says we just met through mutual friends, this other woman. And
yes.
Okay, great. We all meet friends every day, right?
Correct.
So nothing, you don't think anything of it, right? Like, we all have new friends every day.
Exactly.
So, and you never met Kyle?
Correct. I never met Kyle.
During that time. So then at what point do you hear of, like, my new friend Kyle? Like, we all have new friends every day. She's, hanging out with her and Teddi Mellencamp. Like, at what point do you say...
Well, they didn't, like, hang out because they didn't live in the same place.
Right.
It was all just, like I said, the information that I had, I also don't know the full truth. Like, I found out a lot of things after her and I, like, Morgan and I broke up. So I don't know. I'm not convinced that, I was privy to the truth because there's been a lot of information that I have found out after the fact. So, like I said, based on the information that I had, it was just a casual, like, Wordle group. But, I mean, obviously she was, like, kind of getting excited that it was, like, these Real Housewives, and I think just having that, like, I mean, I'm sorry, if any one of us became friends with any of the Real Housewives, we'd be pretty giddy about it too, like, it'd be kind of cool. It'd be like, oh my gosh, like, this and this happened, like, you're going to be kind of excited, like, oh, and they were talking about this Birkin bag and that Birkin bag and this and that, you'd be like, oh my God, this is so crazy,
Yes, sure. Like, if
right,
Kyle
like,
Richards
anybody
would like to become my friend.
Literally anybody would be like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, it was like,
yes.
One of those.
Did she know? Because, you knew because you were a fan of the show. Like, did she know? Like, was she a fan of Beverly Hills Housewives? Like, did she know Kyle and Teddi and Dorit?
No. From what I remember, no, she didn't watch the show. She probably watched, I assume maybe she watched a little bit, like, after she met them. Like, how you would, just out of curiosity. Yeah. Like, let me just watch a clip or two.
Yes. When you say, right, and all of this is just what you remember, of course, but, like, when you say, like, you weren't privy to a lot of this and now you're finding things out, like, were you finding things out after you guys broke up before all of these headlines, or was it really now that it's, right?
Both.
So it was already starting, like, before all this broke and, became a national thing? Both.
I found out, I found out information that, you know, wasn't what I thought it was, after we broke up and after headlines broke.
Like what type of information?
Just like things that didn't add up. And I don't want to get into like our specific details of that, you know. But, you know, just some untruthfulness. And, but like I already knew that was going on. You know, obviously your intuition, you kind of know, and that you may not know the whole truth, but you know that like things aren't adding up, and you kind of have to like, okay, I need to walk away without having the whole truth because, you know, you owe it to yourself.
You owe it to yourself to put yourself first. Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. In any relationship. Do you then, I mean, was Kyle like a factor in you guys breaking up?
No. Not to my understanding of at that time of that was not a factor. No.
Do you feel now that you're feeling like not like that you weren't being put first? Do you think that was because in part of Kyle?
I can't answer that because I don't know.
Right. It's just that you weren't being put first in general.
I wasn't being put first in general, yeah. And I don't know what. I'm sure I think that there were a lot of factors. Her career being a high factor. I mean, her career is extremely demanding, right? So, I mean, talk to any musician. I mean, they work their ass off. And,
yeah.
I mean, so, kudos, right? Like, that was one of the most attractive things about Morgan to me, amongst a lot of other things. But I own my own business, right? And so I work really hard. And so to meet another creative that's killing it in her career, especially as a woman, it's there was just like that bond there, right? And I loved how hard she worked and how much her career meant to her and her craft and her artistry and how important that was. And so I was very understanding of that, but I just felt that I needed more from a relationship.
I love someone who works. It's like a double-edged sword, right?
It is. It's such a double-edged sword.
24/7, and when I meet someone who's creative and like kind of hustling and doing their own thing, I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, we're both the same type of person. How is this ever going to work?
I know.
We're both choosing work first, which I love about you.
Yeah.
I love it about myself, but we're never going to see each other.
Yeah, it's tough.
I get it. Did you think, like, in retrospect, I mean, I don't know if you knew this at the time, did you think, like, some of these things that are surfacing, like these, you know, they both have, like, a K tattoo. Do you feel that's weird? Like Kyle and Morgan. And
does Kyle have a K?
That's what they say. I've never seen it in person. A heart, that's what it is, yes.
They have a matching heart.
Sorry.
Morgan has a K.
Yes.
Do I think that's weird? No.
You don't? I don't think that, like, is or the matching rings, they have rings.
Like, do I think it's weird?
Just, yeah, like, I don't know. I have a lot of good friends. We don't have matching tattoos. And
wow. I don't think it's weird